Jackie, thank you so much for joining me on Misunderstood. I'm so happy that you're here.
Thanks for having me.
So I wanted to start by saying it's famously known that you were at one of Teresa's book signings before you were on the show. And recently she was at your book signing. How did
I
that come
know.
about? And how do
I
we get
know.
full
It's like
circle here?
so full circle. So when I didn't even know what I was like going to back, I think that was, God, my kids are 15 now and they were like 2. So it was so long ago. I was strolling them and I was walking by and I saw her inside, and I used to watch Jersey. I watched Jersey from the beginning. So I was like, oh, there's Teresa Giudice. So I took my kids inside, and actually I think that it wasn't a book signing. I'm actually now I think it might have just been like the opening of a shoe store, because I didn't buy a book. And I know you have to buy a book at these things. I didn't buy a book. I just took a picture with her. So I think it might have, everyone said it was a book signing, but I think it was actually like the opening of a shoe store in the town next to me. Right. And I went in, took a picture with her. And then famously, we did not get along for a very long time. But, you know, some things have changed this year. And she was really excited for me. And I was so glad that she came.
So you said that you listened or you watched to Housewives of New Jersey. Who was your favorite on the show before you even thought of being on it?
Well, like back in the very beginning, I don't know, like I didn't really like love anybody. I thought they were all just a bunch of characters. But now that I know people, I mean, I really loved Carolyn. I thought that she was great and very strong. I always really liked her. And then, you know, throughout the years, I had different people I liked. There were sometimes I took Teresa's side, sometimes I took Melissa's side, but I didn't know them. You know, so when I got on the show and like I was meeting these people for real and interacting with them, it was like, you know, it was just so bizarre. It took me a little while to get used to.
Yeah, right. Of course. So how did you actually get approached to be on the show?
Got a Facebook message from a casting agent. And at first I was like, no, thank you. Because we lived around the corner from Siggy Flicker at the time. And whenever we would see the trucks outside her house, so we always had to pass her house to get to our house. So my husband would always be like, who the hell would do that? Like, who would sign on for this? Because it'd always be like 10 trucks and like people with like cameras and speakers. And like, we'd see them all. And he'd be like, who would put their life on camera? So I knew that my husband wouldn't want to do it. So at first I just said no to save myself from all like the grief of like having to beg him. And then I was kind of like, you know what? Maybe I do want to do it. Maybe it's worth asking him, you know, if he would do it. So I called the casting agent back and told them I'd be interested in talking. And we had a phone call, and then we had like a FaceTime. And then I guess they record the FaceTime. It's not the same for everybody. But with me, they recorded the FaceTime. They send it to the network, and the network goes through all the people who do that and then narrows it down. And I just kept making the cut. It was very bizarre because he asked me, what are the chances that you're going to make it? And I said, I don't know, like 1 in 1,000, because I felt like my whole town was interviewing. So he was like, all right, go for it. And then I just kept making the cut. It was very strange.
What was that call like when they finally called you and said, you've got the part?
It was crazy. At that point, I had been interviewing or like having these discussions for definitely a month and a half. So I wanted it so bad. So it was great. Yeah. I had no idea what I was stepping into, but I mean, I've loved it.
Yeah. So tell me about that first time that you had to film. Like, what was that like?
My first time filming was just in my house. So that was calm. It was great. It was like a little, like I had no idea what the editing process looked like. They never really did me dirty with editing. I have no problem with anything like that. But the first cast event I went to, that was something. I was like, it was just so many people and so many cameras and so many people that I've watched on screen for so long. It was the first time I was meeting all of these people.
Right.
Except for Margaret. I knew Margaret already. And it was just like, it was a really long night. And that scene didn't even make it to the show.
And beforehand, do they tell you like what they want you to do or how the end game should go, or you just let it play out?
Sometimes they'll like let you know what the important things to make sure you discuss are, but they never really set up anything. Like they don't give you a script or anything like that. No.
Right. So, it's very interesting. I'm not somebody who historically, maybe years ago, I watched New Jersey. I haven't watched it in many years. And in preparing for this interview with you, I spent many hours in the last 24 hours watching clips of like all the highlights, but like a lot of stuff from when you were on it. Now, here's my initial reaction. How the hell did you do that? How did you stay in that? I cannot believe, and maybe I'm speaking out of turn here because maybe everyone knows this and I sound like an idiot. That seems so almost abusive. There's so much craziness going on. And
are you talking about the season?
No, I'm talking about the culmination of seasons and behaviors, maybe not even with you, but like just the behaviors. It actually gave me agita. I was like, how is this? You can't even have a conversation sometimes with people without them throwing utensils at someone to get them to listen, without screaming, without accusations about stuff. And I was just like, why would anyone subject themselves to that? And then, I was like, who are these people? Like, if a man behaved that way, they would probably get arrested, threatening people, saying, I'm going to beat your face in, throwing things at them. That never happened. Creating rumors. I was like sick for you, kind of. I thought you handled it really well. And then, not for anything, maybe she's amazing in person, but the way she comes off on the show, Jen, and the way she spoke to you and called you cheap for having pizza. And like, I was just like, I don't get it. How could someone even talk like that? And why is not everyone in an uproar? Like, who are these people? Like, I just thought it was insane. So my question for you is, how did you stay in this without being like, screw this?
Okay. So first of all, it is not for everybody. It's if you want a drama-free life, this is not the job for you. I like a little excitement. I don't mind a little drama. But also it's like, when you have a baby and they say like people only have more than one kid because they forget how like crazy it is at the beginning because the reward is so good. And like, there are a lot of positives that can come from the show. So, I mean, it's a trade-off, there are times when it gets very dark and it's hard and I cry, but there are great things that come from the show and the platform and the friends I've made. So, I mean, it's a trade-off. There are times when it drives me crazy. As far as things like Jen calling me cheap, that's the kind of petty drama that we all like, because calling me cheap, saying my birthday party sucks, that's the kind of thing you can make up from, and move forward and you don't think about it. That's the kind of stuff I think that makes a good Housewives show. When it gets too dark, that's when I don't like it.